Calviño, the floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to participate in this event, which is my first here in Brussels as President of the European Investment Bank Group, and to be joined by colleagues like Vice President Czerwinska, like Marjut Fakstedt, who have participated already before, to express and to signal the importance that we give to InvestEU coming from the group, which includes the bank and the fund, which is playing a very important role actually in this area. And I am particularly moved to talk about InvestEU because it is a symbol of our partnership, and it is a very successful program funded by the European budget that is ensuring that we can fund projects which are strategic for our present and our future throughout the EU. And I'm talking about transport infrastructures, urban mobility, energy and water, digitalization, innovation, healthcare, affordable housing, education and support to SMEs, all those issues that have been dealt with throughout the journey today. And I am particularly and personally very happy to share this success because I was already around back in 2014 when the embryo of InvestEU, the Juncker Fund EFSI, that has already been mentioned now, the European Fund for Strategic Investment, was created. And I was back in the room with the person that was back then, the commissioner, with Jyrki Katainen. And we were remembering what an unprecedented program it was. It was unprecedented in many instances, from many perspectives. First of all, because of its ambition to mobilize more than 300 billion euros in investment in 3 years. It was also unprecedented because it was the first time that we were talking about leverage. And actually, we mobilized those investments on the basis of an 8 billion guarantee, which was very strongly supported by the European Parliament. And I think the MEP at the time dealing with this, José Manuel Fernández, that was here in the previous panel, was always strongly supporting this initiative. And so it was the first time that, using guarantees from the European budget, the European Investment Bank Group was going to provide funding. And I think it was also unprecedented because it was a close partnership between the EIB and the Commission, and a close partnership between the public and private sector. Well, the investment plan mobilized more than 500 billion euros in investment, and this successful model was the basis for InvestEU when we were preparing the multi-annual financial framework 2021 to 27. The umbrella mandate that then gathered together many of the programs that were liaising and were leveraging the European budget through the cooperation with the European Investment Bank. This umbrella mandate has as its objective to mobilize more than 372 billion euros under this multi-annual financial framework. In the period since we signed the new partnership agreement with the European Commission in March 2022, we have already approved deals for 24 billion euros, backed by InvestEU guarantees. So we are actually on track to meet this very ambitious investment target. And this, I think, reflects the amazing capacity of InvestEU to support our economy, our businesses, our households. And we're talking about impactful projects that we are signing every week that make a real difference and prove that even our heaviest and most energy-dependent industries can thrive and innovate as we transition to this net zero economy that should be our future endeavor and our objective. Just to give you some examples, in recent weeks in Sweden, investments funded by InvestEU are helping produce steel made here in Europe with nearly zero emissions. And Also, we are expanding Europe's first circular gigafactory, gigabattery factory in Europe, so that we can also support the deployment of new technologies in the area of electric vehicle manufacturing. In Italy and in the Netherlands, thanks to InvestEU, we are creating new ways for storing energy without the need for rare minerals and use only the abundantly available materials. In 2023, we bankrolled the deployment of early cancer detection equipment in Poland and innovative home therapies developed here in Belgium. So when somebody asks us, and many people are going to ask us in the coming weeks and months as we run up to the European elections, many people are going to ask, so what is Europe actually doing for us? I think that InvestEU and the investments that we're funding throughout the whole of the EU are a good response explaining why we can do much more working together. And supporting this kind of cutting-edge solutions and technological innovations reinforces Europe's strategic autonomy. They will actually allow our economies to thrive without destroying the planet, but also without making us more dependent on external suppliers, and thus reinforcing our resilience. And this is very important, as I was saying, when we are asked what can Europe do for us or what we should be doing in the future. The other feeling that I had when I was looking back and I was thinking about the success of InvestEU is a feeling of self-confidence. This was also shared in the previous panel. You know, I think we should actually feel quite confident in our ability to design and to implement programs that can allow us and help us respond to the challenges. Our resilience and our determination has allowed us to face and succeed in facing challenges in the past, and we have powerful tools and instruments to rise up also to today's challenges. And the European Investment Bank Group has a key role to play, I think, in shaping a better future. You will not be surprised to hear this from me, but the results of last year, which we are precisely announcing today, are, I think, a good example in this regard. And I'm very happy to be able to share with you today the European Investment Bank 2023 annual results, which are really outstanding, with funding agreements for 88 billion euros to support our common priorities, investing in sustainable physical infrastructure, research, innovation and digitalization, small and medium-sized enterprises, which are the heart of our economy, and also social infrastructures such as health, education and skills. The EIB Group financing in 2023 is expected to mobilize around 320 billion euros in investment, reaching 400,000 companies and supporting the creation of 5.4 million jobs. And these are impressive numbers and impressive results, I would say. 20 billion euros went to EU's small and medium-sized businesses, which are the backbone of our economy. And this is largely thanks to the European Investment Fund, the EIB Group specialized provider of risk finance, which is also having and doing a great job in scaling up startups, an issue that was dealt with in the previous panel, particularly in disruptive technologies through the European Tech Champions Initiative, which has already mobilized 1 billion euros in projects, thanks to the dedicated contribution of some member states. Well over half of the finance mobilized last year, a record of 49 billion euros, was deployed for climate action and environmental sustainability. And this means an increase of more than 10 billion euros as compared to the 2022 figure. And we are on track to deliver on our commitment to mobilize 1 trillion euros in investment this decade to support the green transition. And this is, as I said a moment ago, not just necessary to protect our land, our waters, the air we breathe from pollution and the planet's overheating. It is also essential for Europe to eliminate its dependence on a handful of fossil fuel exporters. And so I can safely say, I think, looking at the results of last year, that the European Investment Bank has consolidated its brand as the climate bank, both inside and outside the EU. Crucially, this must be a union where we do not leave anyone behind, and so almost half of our lending last year inside the EU, that's 46% actually, was channeled into cohesion regions. We are investing into state-of-the-art production plants, creating high-skilled jobs, and particularly focusing on least favored regions inside Europe, from northern Greece to Bulgaria. And our work, I think, is not only showing what we can do inside our union, but also throughout the world. In a year marked by uncertainty and geopolitical conflicts, the European Investment Group Global Business, our arm for operations outside the EU, provided more than 8.4 billion euros for projects outside the EU. And this includes, of course, support for Ukraine and financing for the world's least developed and most vulnerable countries. But I would like to highlight the important role of the EIB now, and I think it's going to be even more important going forward to provide financial support to Ukraine. Our support to Ukraine has already amounts already to more than 2 billion euros, and the upcoming discussions in the European Council are going to be of the essence to ensure that we continue to have all the tools available to support Ukraine. Beyond specific projects, I am always moved to discover the global endeavors to which we are cooperating. Recently, last week, I had a chance to talk to the Vaccine Alliance and see how the European Investment Bank Group is contributing to financing the deployment of vaccine production facilities in Africa, reinforcing also resilience, health, sustainability and growth throughout the world. So when our partners around the globe are also asking about the role of the EU and what is Europe's view on where the world should be heading, again, I think that these concrete projects and examples are a good response and a good example of North-South cooperation, which is so vital from a geopolitical point of view. One of my key priorities upon taking the helm at the European Investment Bank Group is closer cooperation and engagement with the European Commission, with the European Parliament, with our shareholders, member states, with our fellow national and multilateral development banks, some of which I know are represented here today, and engagement at every level, from heads of governments and commissioners to the officers and to staff working on the ground, I think is of the essence. I want to really take this opportunity to thank wholeheartedly the teams that inside the European Investment Bank, at the European Commission, throughout all the institutions, and I think there's a very good representation of those teams here today, are working day and night to make these projects become a reality. They are really making a difference on the ground, because at the end of the day, we need to develop these partnerships. We have to join forces. We need to work together. I think we should never forget we are on the same team. And if we ever didn't have a clear view, I think today's situation is really signaling us the right way forward, working together, deepening our cooperation. So ahead of next week's meetings of European leaders here in Brussels, I want to signal my strong agreement with the words of Paolo Gentiloni, with the Commissioner that opened this very conference with a very passionate call for nurturing these powerful investment instruments such as InvestEU or Next Generation EU that are supporting Europe's wide investment needs and are also a symbol of solidarity and unity in challenging and in tackling today's challenges. Because only a coordinated and well-designed response can allow us to rise to these challenges that we are facing, global challenges. The European Investment Bank Group, and let me close with this idea, will do its part, will play its part. We are absolutely committed to be a key partner to European institutions and as a financial arm of the EU to deliver results on the ground to the benefit of our companies, our economies, our citizens. Together, we can make a difference. Let me close on this positive note, and congratulations for the success of the InvestEU program, and congratulations for the success of this very interesting conference. Thank you.
thank you very much indeed for rounding off our high-level InvestEU event. As you say, together we can make a difference. I thought it was particularly important to hear the success stories, the impactful projects. They deserve to be more widely known. Because as you said, when people ask,